The legendary Green-Eyed Bandit, whose smooth voice and charismatic interview style captured the hearts of music fans on the air for nearly 40 years, is here today in Studio A. Washington Full Circle starts right now. Welcome to Washington Full Circle. I'm Ferman Patterson. In the 80s, when this building was BET Studios, Bob Johnson handpicked Donnie Simpson to host Video Soul. It became BET's flagship show, and Donnie Simpson became a popular TV star and a trailblazer in urban radio. The rest is history. Today, Dr. Green Eyes himself, Donnie Simpson, is back in the studio and here on Washington Full Circle.
Oh, thank Dr. Green-Eyed Bandit.
You've heard it all, right?
Funny. I love it, though. It's great.
Well, this is an honor for us to have you here, back in this same studio.
Yeah.
Seems like yesterday, right?
Yeah. Well, not quite. Maybe last week. It's been a long time, but I'm honored to be here, and just to walk into the studio is a very emotional moment for me.
Yeah, I heard you came through when they were doing some renovations.
Yeah, and it was just magical. It was funny because I think there were 4 or 5 other people with me, and they're all looking at me when I walked into the studio, and because they knew something that I didn't know, that this was going to be an emotional moment for me. I'd never given it any thought. Just did not cross my mind. You know, I just walked in, and as soon as I walked through those doors, it's like, whoa, wow. You know, it just brought back a lot of memories, and it's just a lot of good times with a lot of cool people
Good
we used
memories.
to have on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just cool people on the show, not just Luther Vandross and Diana Ross and Janet Jackson, but also, you know, Daryl Player, the camera guy, you know, all the people that I used to work with every day. You know, just a lot of good memories.
Now, speaking of Video Soul, we have a few clips that we're going to roll for you, Video Soul back in the day.
Okay.
So let's take a look at that. From the up and coming stars and to some of the big stars. They were all on Video Soul right here in the studio with Donnie Simpson. Let's take a look back at Video Soul.
Yeah, give it up, Stevie Wonder. Give it up for Steve, my man. Steve. Y'all see this big smile on my face. Y'all know why. I have been waiting for this for 13 years, Stevie. 13 years on this show, man. I've been waiting for you.
Well, here I be.
And I'm glad you be here, man.
We're back, and we're talking with Bobby Brown, our guest at Video Soul. We forgot to mention in the last segment that Bobby had changed clothes. But Bobby just flew in for the show today. As a matter of fact, he's got to fly out right after the show, and I thought you were going to be here for the whole 2 hours, but you got a flight to catch because you're doing Columbus,
Ohio tonight.
Yeah, you're performing tonight. So.
Yeah, this is the first show back out on the Heartbreak Tour. Get ready, Columbus.
We're going to leave you today with a clip from BET's Inside Studio A.
I know my thoughts are telling me, got a big part of me. I can feel it, got a big part of me.
We're back with more Video Soul. I'm Donnie Simpson, along with the time, having too much fun.
Joining us now, William Bootsy Collins. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine, man. And I'd just like to say, for y'all that don't remember me, I'm the boy with the street degree. Bootzilla is here, Bubba. Yeah. How you doing, Donnie?
I'm doing great, Bootsy.
Everything's funky fantastic.
You look great, man. I love the get-up.
I'm just glad to be back out in the streets.
The question is, what's Bootsy doing?
Oh, picking up rhinestones. Bootsy, he's still doing his thing. Bootsy's still, you know, bringing the funk and making music. You know, it was really good to see that comeback a few years ago that he had. But, you know, Bootsy is just truly one of a kind, man. As a matter of fact, I still have a Funketeer card in my wallet that he gave me so many years ago. This has to be like 25 years ago, but it's like American Express, man. I don't leave home without my funk card.
and maybe without your glasses too. We saw a little more in that clip where it came back from commercial and you had some glasses, sunglasses like Bootsy's on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they didn't always like it when I wore sunglasses. You know, it's funny because they always felt like, you know, your eyes. This is the thing. It's like, please, you know, sometimes I want to wear sunglasses and do.
You want to be cool.
Just, you know.
Now
whatever.
tell me something. What comes through in those video clips is that you were having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That this was not just a job. You were enjoying yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Always.
Yeah.
I always have fun. Every day. Anytime you see me, I'm having fun. Seriously, I enjoy life that much. I really do. I wouldn't have it any other way. I control that, you know, I enjoy every day immensely, you know, and I don't care what it is, what the weather, rain, sleet, snow. You can't give me a day I don't like.
Yeah, man.
You know,
one of the things I was thinking about too, at that time when Bob Johnson chose you to host that show, African-American music stars weren't seeing their videos anywhere else. There was a whole controversy about another player television station that wasn't showing them. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was MTV. I mean, Michael Jackson had to sue or threaten a suit. I don't know if it was actually a suit or not, but to get played on MTV, Michael Jackson. They didn't play black artists. You know, when we first started with Video Soul, I think we only had maybe 15 or 20 different titles, different videos.
Wow.
You know, and in all honesty, I remember thinking, well, this would be cool for about 9 months. You know, I didn't think it would last. I just didn't, because we didn't have, you know, the record companies did not carve out those kind of dollars for their black artists to do music videos like they did their white artists. You know, so we had such a limited library that I just honestly didn't think that it would work. But it all changed around very quickly, and you know, I assume that BET had a lot to do with that. That you know, you have this outlet now that shows black video, and so you know, we need to get on board.
And you got on board.
Oh man,
there's a lot more to talk about. I'm so happy to have you here. Stay put. Don't go away. Washington Full Circle. We'll be right back with our special guest, Donnie Simpson, when the show returns. Welcome back to Washington Full Circle. I'm Ferman Patterson, here with our special guest, Donnie Simpson, who BET show Video Soul began right here in this studio. I saw you looking at these clips right. Does that take you back?
Yeah, it does. Well, and I was also wondering, has that been up there the whole time we were talking?
Yes.
My wife always says I'm so unobservant, and I am. I was just like, wow, that's you over there. Look at that. And then look at all these pictures. It's just me and Dr. Dorothy Height. Oh, God, I love that woman.
Man, but that's good you weren't looking at there, because I didn't want you to be distracted. You've got a story to tell about Video Soul. Now, at the time, you had nearly every star imaginable on that show. But prior to that, you were already in radio before you were chosen to do Video Soul. Give us a little bit on your background.
Yeah, well, I did radio from the time I was 15 years old. I started in Detroit. You know, very young age, just blessed, you know, to get such an early start in the field that would become my career for life. You know, I was very popular at 15 years old. I mean, it was just crazy how quickly things happened for me. Moved from Detroit to Washington, D.C. in 1977. So I did radio in Detroit for 8 years, and you know, came to D.C. and honestly didn't. I worried about things happening for me here in D.C. You know, because I felt that I had this built-in advantage in Detroit, that I was from Detroit. They'd watch me grow up on the radio, you know, and I didn't know if people, you know, that's just kind of me. I always feel like that. I don't know if they'll like me, you know. And but then I got here, and things just took off in a major way. I did sports on television for 2.5 years, I was George Michael's backup on the NBC affiliate in Washington, Channel 4. And but I'd gotten so busy. I was doing my radio show in the morning. I was the program director. I was doing sports on the weekend, and then I started doing BET. So something had to go. So it was sports. But you know, I'd gotten a call one day. It's Bob had seen me doing sports on TV, and of course knew of my music background with radio and all, and asked me if I was interested in doing a show called Video Soul on BET. And you know, at first, in all honesty, I was not.
Why was that?
Well, because I only have one thing to sell. It's image. I can't give you 20 rebounds a night, or you know, I'm very protective of that image. And so I've always been very careful about the projects that I get involved with. They have to be top shelf. That's, you know, so BET in its infancy wasn't a very pretty baby, you know, and but after thinking about it for 2 or 3 days, it came down to this, that this is our first black television network. And if you have something to offer it, you have to do that. You just have to. And so that was the decision. And I'm glad I did. I mean, when I first started, we were in 1.5 million homes. When we left, the number was of like 40 million, 45 million, something like that. It was crazy.
That was unheard of.
You know,
that
I know.
was unheard of.
And, you know, made me popular in every nook and cranny of the country.
You
I mean, that's
became
pretty cool.
BET's first star.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to say. Yeah, I was their star, but you know, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was truly a blessing. You know, is something that I cherish.
Yeah, and I think about some of the interviews that you did back then. One with Whitney Houston back in the day.
Yeah.
And as you know, we think about her passing. I saw that video clip and I just said, wow, it's amazing. You saw her at the very beginning.
The very beginning.
What was that like?
And even before being on Video Soul, I have a gold record at home, and this is for radio, that says, thanks for being the first in the world to play Whitney Houston.
Wow.
You know, so we go back to the beginning like that, you know. I mean, you know, Whitney was very special. You know, I think about her all the time. I miss her dearly. She was such a sweet woman, very cool. You know, just give you one quick story. I was at her birthday party because and this is front of mind because I just saw on the movie that they did on cable, Bobby Brown at her birthday party.
Right.
And I was there because I remember me and Bobby were in the backyard walking around, and he said, man, Donnie, can you believe this, man? Look at this place. All this from 2 albums, man. It's like, I know, this is crazy, isn't it? But the coolest moment that night for me, I was in the kitchen with Whitney, and she just gotten a phone call. They called her to the phone, and she picks up the phone, and she says, Donnie, listen. So she shares the phone with me like this, and it's take 6, singing Happy Birthday to her.
Oh, man.
You know, I mean, it was so beautiful to me on 2 levels. Take 6, just these voices coming through this phone, but also that she would share this moment with me. It was kind of cool to me, you know. She was very sweet, man.
I think it's because people felt comfortable with you on it, and that comes across in a lot of the videos.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you know, I'm a comfortable guy. You know, I mean, when you come, you would come here. You know, this is not gotcha TV. You know, if there's something difficult that we have to get into, I'm going to do that. But they still feel comfortable in your hands. You know, and that was always important to me. And you know, because they felt like they knew you, and you know. You were cool. Yeah, I remember having Mariah Carey. We didn't do this in the studio. We went to New York and did this interview with her. And afterwards, her manager was talking about how he'd never seen her like that. He'd never seen her open up like that. And I think it was from this one thing. I never spent much time thinking about questions and stuff. Show preparation was pretty much what's the one thing you might want to know about Mariah today? And so for me, that was this. And I loved, and this is the way the question was crafted to her. At the time, I said, you know, I know you're getting, you know, there's so much flack that you're catching right now because of people view you as refusing to accept your blackness. If you remember, that was a big issue with Mariah.
Yes.
And I said, so I know she kind of a little bit right there, you know, and I said, but it seems to me that to embrace all of that is to deny all of the other. I mean, right there. I mean, that's it. I got you. I understand. Let's talk about this. You know, because black folks in this country, we've always had this little dab of do you mentality. If you got any black in you, then you're all black. Well, what about the white father or the white? You know, that's ridiculous to me. And so it showed some understanding. You know, so of course you lose. You know, that no, we're gonna talk about this fire because I know that it's there. But you know, I understand.
Man, powerful, powerful. Much more to talk about. Don't go away. Washington Full Circle. We'll be back in a moment with our special guest, Mr. Donnie Simpson. Welcome back to Washington Full Circle. I'm Ferman Patterson, here with our special guest, Donnie Simpson. Now, let's switch forward to radio. You hopped to a couple of radio stations, WKYS and then later WPGC, but you also was a trailblazer in the area of urban radio. You weren't syndicated, but you did something that no one else had done before. Tell us about that.
What's that? What did
I'm
do
talking
going?
about that $1 million plus salary.
I was like, what is he? Well, you know, I mean, that was always important to me because, you know, I remember very early in my career when I was in Detroit at WJLB, and I had #1 ratings. I mean, we were just runaway ratings, and you know, I was making maybe $10,000 a year, and the white guy across the street, who was number 2, 3, or 4, was making $45,000, $50,000. And I remember we used to sit around and talk about that. And my thing was always that we're going to have to change this. That one day this has to change, you know. And so I found myself in that position once I came here to KYS, I mean, many years ago, to affect that kind of change, you know. I walked out a couple times, once at KYS, once at KISS. You know, I don't mean to make it sound like I walked out. I mean, my contract was up, I'm not under contract, I'm gone. Y'all think about it, you know. I mean, I just, you know, I was always serious about the money because I felt that I was in position to help correct that. You know, I made a statement once, I think it was in Billboard magazine, that it's time to take the red dots off of us. No more red dot sales, you know. No more half price sales. It's, you know, it's, and I'll be honest, I used to leak my salaries, and it was for 2 reasons. Because I wasn't caught up in that, you know, I wanted that for everybody to know what kind of money you make. You know, I would rather they not. But I felt this. I felt that it was important for every brother and sister in this industry to know that you too can make this money. If he can do it, you can too. They needed to know that, okay? And the second reason was that management needs to know that you have to pay us too. That this was a serve notice to managers across this country, that you have to pay us too. You know, because when I was in Detroit, I used to watch things, man, that I didn't like, you know, payola and stuff that happened because guys had to make ends meet because they didn't make that kind of money, you know. And so I wanted to be in a position where I didn't. What are you going to tempt me with? What you going to give me? A house? You know, just to be beyond reproach. But it was about correcting that thing for me. So I felt like that was kind of my charge, and that was important to me.
Now, Video Soul and then KYS and WPGC, your shows was must listen radio. Also back in the day, there was also a pioneer, Melvin Lindsay, The Quiet Storm, which is still today a big deal. People are replicating it all around. Did you guys back then think that you were making history?
No, I don't think you ever think you're making history when you're in it. You just do what you do, you know. Melvin, well, I'll tie this to what we were just talking about with Melvin, because Melvin was on WHUR, a competing station, and Melvin, I've never seen, man, you didn't even need a radio at night to hear Melvin Lindsay, to hear The Quiet Storm. Just walk outside. It was the air. That's how popular he was, just everywhere, you know. And we could not beat him. So eventually I brought him over. I hired him at KISS. And I was very proud of that because at the time, $1 million over 5 years was like the going rate for top morning talent, which is the most profitable time frame of time of the day, morning shows. I gave Melvin that for 7 to midnight, and that was huge to me, you know, because he was the only brother on the face of this earth that I could pay that kind of money to. And so that was still a part of what I was talking about earlier, trying to correct that pay scale. I was still in position to do that. And, you know, does that make me a great manager? Probably not. But, you know, for me, hey, man, it's NBC. I can't wait to give these dollars out to us.
They had plenty of them.
Got plenty of them, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but, you know, it's, I think when you are doing whatever it is that you do, it's like the line from Elton John's song Rocket Man, you know, where he says, and all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week. You know, people look at it like you do some really cool stuff. You're an astronaut, or you're a DJ, or you're on TV. It's just, wow, so amazing. Man, I'm telling you, it's just what you do. You know, it's just what you do. And I don't mean to say that it's just a job.
Right.
You know, because it was always more than that for me. It was never a job for me. It was always just what I loved doing. You know, I couldn't wait for Monday morning at 6. I couldn't wait to come in here to do Video Soul. I loved doing it. I had so much fun, you know, until last year in radio. And then, you know, I couldn't wait for Friday at 10. The whole last year I worked. And so I knew then it was time to go. That I would never, I'd always promised myself that if I didn't have fun, I wouldn't do it, you know.
Why do you think you stopped having fun?
Well, music became an issue, you know, trying to control my show. I never worked like that. I always had total control of my radio show. From 6 to 10, anything that happened from 6 to 10, I decided, it was written in every contract I ever had, including the last one. But I guess they're just going to ignore it now. You know, and I had this conversation with Howard Stern one day, and we were hanging out in New York, and Howard said, man, isn't it amazing that they will pay you all this money to do this and then want to tell you how to do it? I said, isn't that the truth? But I just, you know, for me, I couldn't work. I can't do your version of Donnie Simpson. I got to do me, you know? And so, you know, praise the Lord that I was in position where I can say goodbye.
Yeah.
See, I'm gone. Then y'all do it. Y'all do Donnie Simpson. Go ahead.
Now, one of the
Enjoy.
things that you got a chance to do is work with your son in radio. How
Yeah.
you know, how great is that to be able to work with family?
It was amazing because he's an amazing guy, and I loved working with him. You know, it was a lot of struggle. It was tough sometimes because a lot of people viewed him as a political appointee because he was my son. That was why he was there. So because they already see it that way, it's hard for them to see him and what he's doing, you know, the work that he's doing. And so I always hated that part of it. You know, it's tough being the child of a celebrity sometimes for that reason, you know. And but, you know, we left radio together, and now he's got Uprising Muffin Company here in D.C. on 7th at S. And he's doing amazingly well. He opened it 1 year ago in April, and it is doing incredibly well. And
Excellent.
He's going after Starbucks. We're going to open up a chain of them. Absolutely.
We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Well, that's it for today's show. Thanks to our special guest, Donnie Simpson, and thank to you at home for watching. We'll see you again next time.